Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Donna Parsons here, and today we're going to be doing the DATEDIF, Workday, and the EDATE function in Excel. Up on my screen I have right now a list of employees and I have their hire dates. And what I want to figure out over here in the E column is how many years of service they have at this point in time. So I use the today function up here, and the reason why you want to use the today function for this kind of information, this kind of sheet, is because the today function will give you a rolling date, meaning when I save it tomorrow, it will open up and it will update to the next day, and it will continue on. So if you're figuring out, for example, years of service, you want to only do this once and not have to keep doing it over and over again. So I use the today function. The today function equals today, open and close parentheses. And let me show you real quickly what the now function does. So if I do equals and then NOW, open parentheses, close parentheses, check it out. It will give me the date and the time. So you may want to include that in your spreadsheets because you want to know whether or not you've updated the sheet and when you've updated the sheet and the time. Sometimes if you're working on it multiple times during the day, this is very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the years of service and we're going to figure out with the DATEDIF function. Come up to our formulas and we're going to try to find the formula DATEDIF. And when I type in DATEDIF and ask Excel to find it, it can't find it. So it is part of functions, but it's just not listed in the insert argument section. So we're going to enter it in manually. Be equals, and then we're going to type in DATEDIF. It's DATEDIF, open parentheses. So now we want to left click on cell C6, and in this case it's just a comma and not a minus because you're not minusing the dates. I want to left click on B1 because that's what I want to subtract it from. And now you want to tell it, how do you want to show it? I want to know it in years. So show it to me in years. In that case, it's quote, Y for years, quote, and then close parentheses. So if I wanted days, it would be D, or if it wanted months, it would be M. In this case, I just want to know the years of service. And when I press enter on my keyboard, it gives me 17 years of service. Now, by default, if you don't have general selected, for example, if you have date selected, you can see that it gives you something that's obviously incorrect. So years of service is 17. That's exactly what we need. Let's go on to the next one real quickly. We'll do it again. So it's equals DATEDIF, open parentheses, and now we want to select B1, comma, quote, Y, quote, and then close parentheses. And when I press enter on my keyboard, it tells me that I have 23 years. Okay, so now what's left is just to drag our autofill down. So let's drag our autofill down. And what did we get? We got incorrect information. Why? Because B1 is an absolute value. So you have to make sure that you put the absolute value in. So I'm going to left click my mouse in cell E6 and I'm going to come up to my formula bar and I'm going to put the $sign in. If you don't know the differences between absolute and relative, I do have a video on that, so check it out. And when I press enter on my keyboard, I still get the same answer, but now when I drag my autofill down, you can see we have the correct answer. So it's important to understand the differences between relative and absolute, especially with the DATEDIF function. So the next worksheet that I have is called the Workday function. And what the Workday function does is it counts the beginning of the job and the date at the end of the job. It only admits weekends. It only has weekdays. So for example, if I start the job on 2/1/24, I want the computer to count ahead 5 workdays and give me the end date. If you take a look at the formula is equal workday, A4, that's the start of the day, comma 5 days in the job, comma 0 is the placeholder if you have a holiday that you have to count in. Let's do the function equals workday, open parentheses. I'm going to left click my mouse in cell A4, comma 5 days, comma 0, no holidays. So if you look at what it wants you to say, it says equals workday, start date, days, and then if you have a holiday. I want to do the close parentheses, and when I press enter, 5 work days ahead from the start date of 2/1 is February 8th. So let's figure that out. I have a calendar here. So if the start date is February 1st, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 work days. That's what it's figuring out. Let's take a look at A5, which is now going to have a holiday in between the work days. I'm going to left click my mouse. I'm going to type in equals work day, open parentheses, start of the work day, comma 5, comma, and now we're going to add in the holiday, and the holiday date is in C1, close parentheses, and that is going to be the end date. So let's take a look at the calendar for December. If we start on the 20th, can't count Saturday and Sunday, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now the end date would be December 30th. So that's exactly how you do the work day function. Let's go on to the next one, EDATE. The next lesson is EDATE. And what EDATE does, returns a number of months for a date ahead. So for example, I have equals EDATE A3, so I started out with A3, which is 2/26/23, and I wanted to know 14 months ahead. So it's EDATE A3, comma 14. That's how easy that is. So let's do this formula here. We want the starting date 2/28/23, and we want to figure out 16 months ahead. So it's equals EDATE, and you can see that it comes up below, returns the serial number of the date that is indicated in the months before or after the date. We're going to open up our parentheses, and we're going to left click our mouse in the date that we want. In this case, it's 2/28/23, comma, and then we want to say 16 months, close parentheses, and there's the date, but the date now is coming up in days, so we got to change it to long date. So we have to come up to our home tab, and in our home tab, in the general section, we want to click the down arrow, and we want to choose short date, and then there's the 16 months ahead, 6/28/24. All right, so let's do 25 months ahead. So it's equals EDATE, open parentheses again. I'm going to left click on this date here that says 2/28/23, comma, and then I want to say 25 months ahead, close, and there's your answer, and we got to change that to the short date, come up to our home tab, come over to the number section and select date. So that is 25 months ahead. So that is the EDATE function. Awesome to learn. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you do, please subscribe. Thank you for your time. And if you'd like me to do a lesson, leave it in the comments section. Thanks again.